Hello everyone, happy Make It Monday. I am going to make a summer gnome with you today. This is actually the one that I made and he's so cute. So this is a little bit more involved than some of the other projects that I've done with you, but still cute. Obviously, he's adorable and still good fun. And a lot of the things that you use for this, you will have to go to the store for, such as the fabric and a couple of the other things that I tell you you'd need. So again, this is what we're making. He's so cute. Once you have these instructions too, I mean, I'm just doing it because it's the summer. So I got little summer themed fabric and stuff, but you can do them for pretty much any holiday. If you really like the gnomes, you can change the fabric and make another one and make it for whatever holiday you want or season. But I just gave this guy a little bit of a tropical theme to him to go with the summer. So let's get started on our gnome. So your materials that you are going to need are going to be fabric. So for me, I'll show you, this is my fabric. So I got this for the summer. I thought little like palm leaves were very summery. So this is what I'm using for the hat and the body. You can use different fabrics for the body and for the hat. I just did one because it came in a yard, so might as well use it all, right? So you will need fabric. You also will need polymer clay. So this is what it looks like. So this is the white, and then I also have kind of the tan color. So I got all my supplies from Joann's Fabrics, by the way. So this right here is an oven baked clay. So this is the type that I got. It's called Sculpey. And so I got white and tan in it, and I'll show you why I got two different colors here in a moment. But basically, you roll it into whatever you want, and then you put it in the oven for the allotted time and temperature, which this one is 275 for 15 minutes, and that's for about 1/4 of an inch. So I will show you how all of that comes together. You also need white craft fur. So I bought this, it came just like this in a little package. So you can see I already cut out some of it, but you'll need this with your fabric. You also need dry beans or rice. So I, like a dum-dum, forgot my rice and beans at home. So I went into our kitchen here and I found these. I don't suggest using candy for long term, but for this particular craft, I think you'll be okay with me using this, but you should be using either dried beans or rice for your inside of your gnome. Okay, so then the next thing that you'll need is polyfill. So my bag's on the floor because it's quite large. So you'll need a bag of polyfill. This is basically to give him or her, it can be a her too, their shape, especially for the little hat that they have. So you'll need some of this. This in particular was the smallest bag that I could find online because I ordered mine online, but I'm sure there's smaller bags if you don't need all of this. But you could also, after this, make a pillow or something like that. So that's polyfill. You will also need a hot glue gun. So I have my hot glue gun right here. You can also use a sewing machine if you'd like to. I am not a sewing machine person, so I'm using the hot glue gun. But if you like to sew, then you're more than welcome to use that as well. So anywhere that I put the glue, you can use a sewing machine. There are a couple of places where you only need a glue gun, and also I'll let you know about that. Of course, you'll need an oven for your poly clay that I talked about. And then you also need some sort of like knife. So I have an X-Acto knife. If you have one of these, that's great. You could also probably use like a box cutter or something. Just something that has a thin tip to it so that you can cut through like the fur. Because this right here, you have to cut the back of it, which I'll show you. So using an X-Acto knife is probably gonna be your best bet. Okay, so that's all you need. Like I said, it's a little more involved than the normal stuff that we've been doing, but it's still really fun. And for those of you who are just joining us, this little guy is what we're making today. So let's get started. So for the body, we're gonna start with the body, which you can see here. Let me grab my guy here. You can see back here, he's got like a little body here that I attached his little hat to. So we're gonna make this portion first. Oh, one other thing I forgot to tell you. I'm using a rubber band because I found this easier, but you can secure the body with super glue, or not super glue, I'm sorry, hot glue gun or the sewing machine. I just personally think it's easier to do it with a rubber band, but that's just me. Okay, so I already pre-cut mine, but you're gonna make a circle cut out of your fabric that you're gonna use for the body, whether you are doing the same fabric as the hat or different. This right here is roughly about 10 inches in diameter. So make sure you make it pretty big because you're basically going to put it all like this in order to make your body, and you're gonna fill it with the dry beans or rice or whatever it is that you're gonna do that. To me, when I made my first one, it was really hard to like hold it and then put the stuff on it without everything falling out. So I actually grabbed like a little cup or something and I just sat it on top. And let me change see if I can make it a little bit better for you to see. So I just kind of put that on top, and then as I filled it, it kind of went in, and then I was able to wrap it up. So let's do it that way. It's just easier for me, I think. Obviously, if you're doing the sewing machine, it's a little bit different, but basically you're going to fold it in half and sew halfway down, and then fill up your bag and then close it. Or you could do filling up the sides, or I'm sorry, doing the sides and kind of pulling them in. Just whatever is easiest for you to close it to where it's kind of a bag. But for the people who are using a hot glue gun, this is how I'm doing it. So, okay, so like I said, holding it right here, I'm gonna fill it with mine, which like I said, use the rice and beans, not candy that you found in the pantry. So I'm gonna start filling it up and kind of pushing it into the cup. Whoops. And that's gonna happen, you're gonna lose a few. So see how I'm kind of doing that? Trying to make him as round as possible. You can also, if you don't want to use like dried beans or rice, you could also use the polyfill that we have, since you're probably going to have so much. If you wanted to put that in there, it's just not going to be as sturdy, so when you set it down, it might fall over or something like that, but you can always use that. Okay, so I filled it up to where I still have a little bit of something I can hold on to put that rubber band on. So fill it up as much as you'd like, but you want to have like a good set for that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to secure the top. So I'm just going to literally take the rubber band and wrap it around the top as many times as I can. Okay, so there's my body. So really easy with the body. Like I said, it's about a 10-inch circle in diameter. And then you're gonna get something to put inside, whether it's dried beans or rice. It's easier to do it with setting it inside and kind of filling it up and letting that happen. And then you're going to secure it with a rubber band. Or if you are savvy with the sewing machine, you can make a bag like this with the sewing machine. I am not savvy with the sewing machine, so good on you. Okay, so we've got our body done, so we can go ahead and set that aside. The next thing that we are going to do is do the hands and the nose. So that's when you're gonna take your polymer clay. And so I'm gonna just, obviously I've taken a little bit off of each. In my original guy, you're supposed to basically mix it until you get the color that you want for him. For mine though, I really liked the kind of marble effect that it makes when you add the two. So you can see on my little guy, he's got kind of a marbly nose and hands. I just think it was cute. So I'm gonna keep going with that. But you can get one color if you want him just to have a tan nose and hands, or a white nose and hands, or a purple, whatever you want, whatever you're thinking. I've seen people do like mermaid gnomes and unicorn gnomes. Make it your own, okay? So we're gonna start with that. So basically what you're going to do is you are going to take a portion of your clay. So I'm just gonna cut the end off here. And, oops. And you're just gonna mix it. I would say probably mix a ball that's like the size of like maybe a silver dollar. But you can see I took portions, and so now I'm literally just going to mush it together until it all mushes as one piece. So you can see it's already trying to mush together. So just keep going like this. You can also get it to go like that, fold into itself. However you want it to mix. But the best way is just to squish it together. Keep folding it into itself. If you need to add more to get more of the clay, do so. Or if you want to add more of like the tan or the white to get that effect that you want, or whatever color you're using, just keep adding to it. Basically, in the end, what we want is we want the nose, so that nose right there, to be the size of basically like a nickel. And then we want the hands to be the size of like, I'm trying to think. It said a dime in there, but mine are the size of dimes and it kind of feels a little large. So I would make them a little bit smaller than dime. Not much smaller because then it'll be like really small, but kind of go for the dime, a little bit smaller than a dime for the hands. And then of course, like I said, kind of the nickel size for the actual nose. Okay, so I made mine a little bit more together, not as much of that marble effect. If I wanted to, I'd just add a little bit more white and I would get that marble effect, but we're gonna keep going. Okay, so I have a good size here. So I'm gonna pull some off for my nose. And then we're just gonna roll it into a ball. So super easy. Okay, so there's my nose. It's about the size of a nickel. Obviously, just guesstimates. Just make sure that they look, you know, good and they're round, and it's mainly the hands that you want to make sure that they're pretty much the same size. So here's my hands. I'm going to roll that into a ball. So there's my little hand, and you can see in comparison they're different. So here's my nose, here's one of my hands, and then I'm going to roll the other hand. This other hand is not wanting to go round, it wants to go oval. Okay, so I got my two hands and I got my nose. All right, so now typically you would take these three guys, put them in the oven at 275 for 15 minutes, or, you know, that's what this says to do. If you buy a different brand, just make sure you're looking at the package to see how long it has to bake for. So mine particularly says 275 for 15 minutes. I do not have good access in this room for an oven, and I was not overly prepared and did it beforehand. So mine's not gonna be baked in the oven, but it's gonna look pretty much the same. Just make sure that after you bake it, it's gonna harden. And so make sure that you give it enough time to cool from the oven after it was in there for 15 minutes, and then you'll be able to use it. So I would suggest doing this part first, doing the 15 minutes, while the 15 minutes is going, you can make the little body that we made. And then you can also make the hat, which is what we are about to do now. So with the hat, I also pre-cut those. So I made this about 1 foot long. On my last one that I did, it ended up the bottom was too big for the body. So I ended up, after the thing was made, I ended up cutting some of it off. But I made it long because I just wasn't sure. So make it about 12 inches long from bottom to the little tip. And then you're gonna make an exact duplicate of it so that you can make a hat, okay? So what we're going to do is we are actually going to what you would normally do for hemming. So we're going to attach them, but I'm gonna attach them with the glue gun. Again, if you are a sewing machine person, more power to you. Go ahead and you can just sew these together if that's something that you want to do. So I'm gonna use my glue gun, and I've got some extras here. Get this over so I can get some more space. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the good side so that I can fold it over. So I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a second. Come on, glue gun. It's always difficult putting in another one in when it doesn't catch. Okay, so I'm gonna take the other one and I'm gonna put the good side down and I'm gonna line them up. I suggest lining them up starting at the top and then working your way down. To me, that seemed to be a little bit easier. And then we'll just squish them together. Okay, so like I said, I attached them like this. You can see, so that when I go around, it's got a nice little seam here. On this one, which you can do that as well, it just looks a little bit more put together. See this one, I just kind of, you can see the seam right here. I just slapped them on top because I was kind of in a hurry, which it's perfectly fine too. I mean, with the fabric that I picked, you really can't tell that much unless you're right up on it. But this just makes it look a little bit nicer if you do it like it would normally be if it was a seam. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other side. Give me 1 second. I apologize, my lights are on motion, and so they were going out on me, so I wasn't making enough movement. Okay, so I'm pulling mine a little bit out just because it's kind of rolled up in there. Okay, so next thing you're gonna do the same thing. So with me like this, I'm gonna make a glue here, and then I'm gonna attach this side to that piece so that once it's done, it'll look just like this, and then we'll just fold it out, okay? Make sure your glue is drying before you're folding it out. All right, so here we go for the other side. And you're gonna wanna put a pretty good amount of glue. Like I said, make sure it's drying fully before you move it. So I'm gonna let that sit for a second because it's still hot. which usually indicates that it's not quite dry yet. I'm also putting a little bit extra layer of hot glue in between the seam just to make sure that it's really gonna stick. And it just kind of forms that bond there. But while we let this dry, I'm actually gonna show you how to do the little beard. So we'll set that to the side and let it dry. Go ahead and grab your fur, and you're going to cut not on the furry side, but on the back side. There's actually a fabric here, and basically you're gonna just make a horseshoe that's roughly about 3 to 4 inches long, just depending on how big your little base is. I'm gonna make mine 3 inches long. So just start from the top here where it's got the straight line, and you're just gonna, like I did here, you're just gonna make a little horseshoe. So horseshoe it down as far as you want, and then come right back up. And you shouldn't have to put very much pressure with your X-Acto knife. These are pretty sharp, but also the fabric on the back is not that much. You don't want to put too much pressure on it because it will go through the fur, and then you'll have like little fur stuff all over the place. So just a little bit of pressure with the tip of the X-Acto knife. Obviously be so careful with the X-Acto knife. But there's my little beard. So you can see, cut him right out of there. And that is it for the beard. So let's go back to our little hat. So it seems like my hat is pretty well dry at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling it back through. If you are not sewing it and you're glue gunning it and something comes loose, just keep pulling it through, and then once you actually have it all the way pulled through, you can go back with the glue gun and secure any portions that may have come off. Or you just pull it straight through. My fabric is more of like an outdoors fabric, so mine's a little bit thicker, so it takes me a little bit longer to pull it through versus like a softer fabric. And you can see mine came out undone just a little bit there, so I'll have to come back and glue that little section. So keep pulling through until you have it all the way through. Like I said, my fabric's a little bit thicker, so it just takes a little bit more effort to pull it through. I also bet if I used a sewing machine, it would probably come through a lot better. Okay, let's see. I got a little bit left in there. So I'm gonna see if I can push it through here, if I can find it. I got a little hole here, so I'm gonna push it through the hole. All right, so I've got a little hole here. I'm gonna stick that little portion in here because it's just not coming out. So I'm just gonna wrap it in there, and I am going to re-glue this little portion here that came undone. I'm gonna take off that glue that already didn't work. Okay. So I'm just folding back into itself so that it can look like the rest of it. So I'm just gonna hold this here for a second. Obviously this is the prettier way to do it with the little seam on the side, but I will say the other version that I did where I just kind of like wrapped it around itself was definitely a lot faster. So if you're not really too concerned about like the seam and all of that kind of stuff, it's definitely easier to do it the other way. But if you are, it's totally cool to do it this way too, because it looks really cute in the end. Okay, so now that this is dry, here's my little hat. Super cute, pointy. I made it a little less pointy at the top just because, like I said, I have thicker fabric, so it was a little bit harder for me to push the little point through. But we're gonna move on to the next portion of it. So the next portion is putting all of those little pieces together. So what you're gonna do first is you're gonna take your little body that you made, and you're going to glue your nose onto it. So the nose was the bigger of the clay. Again, mine, I did not put mine in the oven because I don't have easy access. So if you put yours in the oven for the allotted time from your polymer clay, make sure it's cool, and then you can use the hot glue gun. So I'm gonna hot glue gun this one just because I want you to be able to see how it's supposed to look. Put a very significant amount of glue so you can see I put mine on there. And you're basically gonna find your flat side if you have one. So mine's kind of this one. So I'm just gonna stick it right below where that elastic band is. And I'm just gonna hold it there for 15, 20 seconds. Make sure it's really on there. And then after we secure your nose, we're gonna put the hat on. So make sure you have your glue gun for that one. That one would not be very easy to sew on, so just make sure you have your glue gun. All right, he seems pretty secure on there. Okay, so that is what it looks like so far. So now I'm gonna take my little hat and I'm going to leave the seams on the side, and I'm going to put it over my little body. So what you wanna do is you wanna tuck, see this little portion right here next to the nose? You're gonna wanna tuck that actually behind the nose to kind of give it that little crinkle. So you can see that there. And you're going to do dollops around the hat to secure it. I'm so sorry, I'm having problems putting it in the screen. So you're gonna do little dollops on the hat to secure the hat to the body. So I'll show you what I mean. So with your glue gun, which it looks like I'm gonna need another glue stick, you're just gonna put like little dollops every so often in the inside of your hat. You can also, if it's easier for you, you can do them on the body. It's just, for me, I'm doing it on the hat. And again, put a pretty significant amount of glue on there just to make sure it sticks. And I would do one side at a time. So you're gonna do like the side and the back. So here, I did one side with the glue. So I'm gonna secure that one side first. So I'm doing this side first. And the reason you're gonna wanna only do the sides and the back is because you're actually gonna shove your arms into the hat so you can kind of hide them. Okay, now I'm gonna do the rest of the back. Be careful, don't burn your fingers like I'm doing. Kind of in between too, you're gonna wanna let it dry because you don't wanna be pulling the other side and that side come off. So kind of let it dry a little bit before you move on to another section. All right, so I've left the kind of front portion open, so there's no glue up there just yet. And again, that's gonna be for the arms. So far my little gnome looks like this, okay? Now you're gonna take your little piece of beard and you're going to tuck it around your little nose. So you're gonna attach it with the glue gun. So just do the top here. If you wanna put a little dollop in the center after you secure the top, you're more than welcome to. So it's not as floppy, but go ahead and do it on the top. And again, pretty good amount of glue is necessary for it. Make sure it's on the fabric portion and not the fur portion. And like I said, you're just gonna stick it right underneath and kind of loop it around the nose, just like that. You can also, if you wanna put the beard on first and then attach the nose to the fur, you're more than welcome to. It's just, it might come off eventually because the fur obviously isn't attached as well. So it's up to you. But there's my little gnome beard, and it really doesn't need to be attached. You can see it comes a little bit off. So if you want to put more glue underneath it, you're more than welcome, but usually the top is just fine. All right, so, and I'm sorry, my lights are going down again. So, but you can still see me, so that's okay. Okay, so we got our beard, we got our nose, our hat, our body. So now we are going to work on the hands and the arms. So again, take your fabric, and I was just using scrap fabric. So you are going to cut little arms, and I'll show you exactly how big they need to be. Okay, so we're making scrap arms from there. So basically it just needs to be big enough for you to be able to fold over itself and to glue it. I wouldn't make it very long because these are gonna be the arms. So I would probably make it about 1.5 inches long and then probably about 1 inch wide so that you can roll it into itself and make that little arm. And you are more than welcome again to use the sewing machine if you are an expert at that, but I am going to use the hot glue gun. So I just put a little bit of glue on the inside, and then I'm just gonna wrap my little arm into the glue. and let it dry. So there you go, little arm. Let me pull off the extra little glue specks. And then I didn't fully, you can see it's kind of like over, so I'm just gonna cut off those little excess. Excuse me, allergies here in Austin are atrocious this week. Okay, so let's do the other one. So again, I'm just putting a little bit of glue on one side, on the back side of the fabric, and then I'm going to roll it over onto the glue and hold it. I love glue guns. You can do almost anything with the glue gun, including burn yourself. At least I tend to do so. But I used to be a waitress and a bartender in college, and so holding hot plates and stuff like that, this kind of stuff does not bother me anymore. All right, so there's my second arm. I'm going to cut off the excess. That side actually looks pretty good. And now I have two little arms for my little gnome. Okay, so like I mentioned when we were putting the hat on, you're gonna actually stick these arms inside of the hat, okay? So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the end of this, and then all I'm gonna do, let's make sure I don't burn myself with the tip of the thing. All I'm gonna do is stick it right in here and glue it to the body and the hat, and then it just kind of wraps around like that, okay? So let's do it. So I'm putting glue on the tip of my arm that I want the portion that's shoved inside, and I am going to put it under the hat and attach. And you're gonna wanna hold it down. You can see I just stuck it right in there. And I'll hold it down for a second. And before I attach the arm to the beard, I'm gonna put the other arm on so that I can see, because I don't want them to cross since we have those little hands. So I'll show you what I mean here in a second. All right, he seems pretty secure, so let's do the other side. So again, just a little bit of glue on the end, enough to get it to hold. And then I'm gonna stick it underneath here. The only bad thing about glue guns, like I said, I love glue guns. They can do almost anything. Only bad thing is you get all these little spider webby glue things, and they're everywhere. Okay, his little arms are on. Okay, now that we have both arms, I'm actually gonna attach them to his beard a little bit so that they're not like coming out to the sides. So again, just a little bit of glue on the end of the arm. This one you're gonna make sure you're really pressing down because it's attaching to the fur and the back fabric on his beard. So I'm actually gonna put my finger underneath and hold it together on his beard. See how it's on his beard? You want his arms to be right up front. You can also, if you want to, like have him holding something. I've seen them do that as well, where you just basically glue gun like some sort of, you know, heart or some, you can even, if you wanted to, I saw somebody did the, you know, like the drink umbrellas. Somebody put one of those in his hand. It was pretty cute. So maybe I could do that since it's the summer one. So you can see his little hand is now attached to his beard. So I'm gonna do the other one. I don't think I have any drink umbrellas here, which is surprising for Overture Arboretum. But maybe I'll find a drink umbrella and attach that to my two little summer gnomes. That's pretty summery, right? Okay. So like I said, I'm attaching and I'm holding them together from the underside and from here because you're trying to get it to attach to more than just the fabric. Or I'm sorry, more than just the fur. You want it to attach to the fabric as well. So you're not pulling off your fur. Okay. Oh, he's holding his hands. One arm's a little bit longer than the other, but that's okay. Okay, so next you're gonna take your little hands and you're gonna glue gun them on top of the end of your hand. So you can see here, here's the end of my hand, so I'm just going to glue it right on top. And then glue the other one right on top here, okay? I will say, when I'm not talking and trying to show to, I would say my first one is definitely looking a lot better than this one, but they're still really cute. And you can make adjustments if you need to. All right, so I'm glue gunning the hand on the end of the arm. I really hope you guys do this. It's actually really cute. I'll have mine at the desk if you live at Overture Arboretum or you're visiting and you want to come look at these little guys. I'll have them sitting at my lifestyle desk. But they're actually really fun and cute. And like I said, you can do them for pretty much any occasion. Okay, so he's pretty well on there. And I suggest putting the glue on the actual ball and then sticking it on there versus putting it on the fabric first. It just seems to work easier that way. But if you do the little gnome, which I hope you do, make sure you post your pictures on the Overture Arboretum Facebook page so I can see them. Anytime you do a craft, let me see it. I want to see how it turned out. We also, if you are a crafty person, we have on Wednesday, I teach a step-by-step painting class. Normally it's in person, but since we're virtual right now, I will host a Facebook Live virtual of me doing the painting step-by-step for you to be able to do it as well. So we'll do a sip and paint. So grab your favorite beverage, whether it's coffee or mimosas or whatever. It'll be on Wednesday at 11 a.m. I'll be right back here and we'll be able to paint together for about an hour is usually how long it takes. And we're gonna do a summer scene. So get back on Facebook on Wednesday at 11 a.m. so that you can explore more of your creative side. All right, he's on there. So here's our little gnome we did together. He's really cute. Show me yours. Show me what fabrics you use. Let me know, since I told you that this one's a little bit thicker of a fabric because it's more of like an outdoor fabric. If you use a different kind of fabric and it works a lot better, let me know. Maybe I'll make another one with a better fabric. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have some great gnomes that come out of this video. Have a great rest of your day. Drink water, stay out of the heat, and we'll see you later.